Hello, my name is Minta, and this is my presentation on solution-focused brief therapy. Let's talk about the roots of solution-focused brief therapy. It was developed by Steve Shazer and Berg in the 80s. They wanted to know what really helped people to change. They observed hundreds of hours of therapy and noticed that there were times in clients' lives when problematic behaviors should have been there, but they were reduced or absent. They found that in sessions when they would take time to point out and explore when problematic behaviors were decreased or absent, clients often found solutions to their problems. They began to focus on what the client was already doing that was decreasing the problematic behaviors. In addition, the focus shifted to the client's hope for the future rather than on problems of the past. These shifts in the therapy room led to a decreased number of sessions. The key aspects of solutions-focused brief therapy are finding solutions rather than focusing on problems. It is a future-oriented therapy rather than an exploration of the past. Solutions-focused brief therapy aims to identify the behaviors that are already working for the client and works to increase those behaviors. Also, solutions are found by identifying times problematic behaviors were lessened or absent. In SFBT, clients can come and go to the group as needed. There isn't necessarily a beginning or an end to this type of group work. They come and they process what needs to be processed, and when they've done the work they feel they need to do, then they're done coming to the group. Often the issues of the group members are not related. People come into the group with all kinds of problems and issues, and they are coming into this setting to process and find solutions. So SFBT is about becoming the person you want to become. Other therapies focus on processing the past. SFBT focuses on who you are becoming right now in the present and in the future. Generally, 4 to 6 sessions are the average number of sessions that clients attend. In SFBT group work, the members might not have much in common from the outside. One of the roles of the leader is to make connections between the participants. So the leader can ask about the type of person members want to become. They can ask good questions and let the group process. For example, the leader could ask, if you were becoming a confident person, or replace the word confident with whatever the members are wanting to become. Maybe it's confident, maybe it's more independent, maybe it's more sociable. So if you were already becoming a confident person, what would you begin to notice? And as members hear who other people want to become, that is when the connections are made. That is when they're able to see that they do have things in common. Even if the issues are different, the hopes and dreams of who the members want to be often correlate or overlap. So the miracle question comes from SFBT, and this question I included on the slide, and I'll just go ahead and read it. And this question was posed by Shazer, and he said, suppose that while you were sleeping tonight, the entire house is quiet and a miracle happens. The miracle is that the problem which brought you here is solved. However, because you are sleeping, you don't know that the miracle has happened. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, what will be different that will help you realize a miracle has happened and that the problem is solved? I don't know if that's exactly what it says. My little camera is covering the quote, so hopefully that was close enough. But the idea is that as people explore the what if of a miracle happening, that their mind starts to come up with solutions to their problems. They would be cued into certain things that would be going on inside of their mind that show that a miracle has happened, the problem is gone, and the way that they answer this question can be the basis for finding solutions to their problems. So all modalities of therapy have their limitations, and SFBT is no different. There are limitations when it's applied to populations with severe psychiatric and/or medical problems and those who have unstable living situations. However, SFBT can still be used as long as it's used in addition with a more comprehensive treatment program. SFBT is an effective approach for adults with depression. The study Effectiveness of Solution-Focused Brief Therapy states that SFBT can be used with high confidence in this population. So it is a great resource to use with clients who are depressed. Okay, so let's explore what a therapy session might look like when we are working with a client with depression and we're using SFBT. So of course we want to be warm and friendly and create a judgment-free space. And then pretty quickly we want to ask, what has brought you into therapy today? So let's say in this situation, the client reveals that they have been struggling with depression and just feelings of overwhelm for quite a while. And an important question to ask would be, why is today the right time to do something about it? And it would be important to acknowledge that the client is already engaging in a behavior that is going to shift their present and future. They're already doing something to change this problem that they have. And then after that, the miracle question could be introduced. You went to sleep, a miracle happened, you wake up, it's gone. How would you know that the problem is solved? So for this example, let's say our client says when they wake up, they get out of bed and they feel like smiling at their partner, their kids, and they have feelings of connection. Maybe they make plans to go out and do something fun that day, something enjoyable. So as they're answering this question, some good follow-up questions could be, well, what fun thing are you going to go and do? And how are you connecting with the people in your life? And then we can also follow up that question with, are there times when you haven't felt as depressed as you feel right now? So for the sake of this example, let's say our client says, oh, a few weeks ago I decided to go on a walk with my kids. It was just for 20 minutes, but I noticed that during that walk I felt a little bit lighter. I was just listening to my kids laugh. I was, breathing some fresh air, just felt a little bit better in general. So after that, we could ask a couple of scaling questions. So we explain to the client, we're going to ask you a few questions and ask you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 representing not at all me, and 10 representing absolutely that's me. So the first question is, how confident are you in being able to achieve parts of your miracle? And then we listen for their response. Do they feel any hope in being able to achieve the miracle? And then we want to ask, how willing are you to make an effort towards achieving your miracle? And again, listen to where they rate themselves on that scale. So after the scaling questions, we can ask, do you have any ideas of how to take the next step to make your miracle happen? And this is an important question because we don't want to just present a solution to them. We want them to maybe be thinking about that miracle question we asked and be thinking about the time they went on that walk and maybe didn't feel as depressed. And hopefully they are able to come up with some solutions to their problem and be able to list a few actions they could take that might help them decrease their depression. And then at the end of the session, it likely is important to ask, do you feel that we have talked enough today to help you go home and try the solution you have come up with. And if they answer no to that, you can talk more about possible solutions. If they haven't been able to come up with a solution, that would be a time you can kind of maybe co-create a solution with them, but still try to very much make it be a client-led solution because they're a lot more likely to engage in those behaviors if they're the one who came up with the solution. Okay, so I found this quote from Shazer and I loved it, so I had to include it. He said, "Where you stand determines what you see and what you do not see. It determines also the angle you see it from. A change in where you stand changes everything." And I love that because I think as mental health professionals, we have this privilege of being able to help our clients feel hopeful in their ability to change. And we have the ability to point out to them the areas where they already are strong and already have resources. And when they have that shift in their perspective from someone who has this problem who's stuck to then shifting into the perspective of I'm somebody who can choose to act in ways that are beneficial, then I think real change can happen.